Good evening. My name is 𝙟𝙤𝙚𝙬𝙧𝙘. How are you doing?
Hi Ash, thanks. I'm doing fine. Thanks for giving me this opportunity.
My
So
pleasure.
now I'm sure you're very much aware of what small to medium-sized enterprises are about, right? So SMEs make up about 99% of all the enterprises in Singapore, and they support 72% of the total employment remain as small to medium enterprises, right? Because it's quite hard to see all these companies expand and upscale, right? And the reason is mainly because it's not very easy to run a business in the first place. There's the rising costs, there's the COVID pandemic. It's hard enough to stay afloat, much less to make profits, right? At the end of the day. So this is
Sure.
where BuyLeft really comes in. BuyLeft is a B2B asset sharing platform. And by assets, I mean anything from equipment, storage space, manpower, anything that you can think of that can be shared between two businesses, you'll probably find it on BuyLeft platform, right? So what you can do as a business on our platform is that you can lease out your idle assets, right? A storage space that's just sitting there empty, or any equipment that's not really being used. You can lease that out, make some money out of it, and this money can come in very useful for you for your business development in the future, right? Let's say you want to rent out some equipment, right? You can rent it out from our platform for close to 30% less than what you're actually paying for it right now, right? So if you are keen, I'd be more than happy to share more with you over a cup of coffee. Yep.
Interesting. Thank you. Thank you, Pranav.
Try to keep it up within 60
Yeah,
seconds.
yeah. No, thank you. So the BuyLeft platform, okay? Now we've seen product sharing platforms. If you are you need a tool, right? You need to borrow somebody's lawnmower, or you need to borrow somebody's snowblower, for instance. There are tools out there, but BuyLeft is now re-looking at this from a B2B perspective, right, Pranav? Right?
Right.
And
right.
so when if I understand correctly, any asset that any company has can be shared, right? And assets to me are machines, space, and people as well, or no? Are you
Yes,
sharing
people as well.
Right? So what you're doing is in the most expensive city on the planet, in Singapore, okay, where there's no land, or there's a limited land. What you're doing is you're saying, let's create an avenue for everyone to have a sharing economy at a B2B level. So tell me, Pranav, tell me about the pricing, because you brought something up at the end and I kind of missed that. I want you to talk to me a little bit about how it works, right? So for instance, today we were talking about 3D printing, okay? And I need an industrial level 3D printer that usually costs $5,000, and I need to use it for once or twice a month, okay, for the next 12 months. Tell me about your unit economics so I can understand a little bit more.
Okay, so how BuyLeft basically works is that we are a marketplace, right? So we don't really set any prices. Sorry about that. It could decide for itself. So currently there's no market, or there's no one fixed market where used or idle assets can be shared. So this is a completely new market that we're introducing out here. And therefore, there's really no fixed price for all these things. So what we do is we kind of suggest, when a business is leasing out an asset on our platform, we give them a suggestion. We do our own research based on the category that it belongs to. We give them a estimation of, how much should you really price your asset for? So let's say you wanted something, 3D printer that usually costs $5K. 70% of it would cost about $3,500. Let's say this is on a per month basis, right? It's on a per month basis, $3,500. This is what we would suggest to you. What you end up pricing it as is completely up to you. We don't force you in any way. But eventually what happens when you have 100, 200 companies in this ecosystem that we have built is that eventually companies will start to think, okay, if I'm going for an idle asset, I'm looking for a certain price range. I'm looking for 3,500. If you lease it any higher, no one's really going to buy it from you. You're going to be forced to lower your prices anyways.
Understood.
Right.
So the market dictates the price. Tell me about two questions I have as you were talking about. Number one is, how are things securitized, right? Because you are in Singapore, right? So how do you maintain security? Like, for instance, I'm sharing a fridge, okay, right? And I'm freezing durian, right, Pranav? Because we love durian. I'm freezing durian there, and somebody else is freezing 𝙒𝙀, for instance, right? They do frozen 𝙒𝙀. How do you make sure that the security element is there? And the last question is, how is Pranav and the BuyLeft team going to be the team that's going to make this work? Because you need to create a dance floor, right? You need supply and demand. How are you and your team the best people? Because I wanted that to come out a bit in the pitch too. So those are my two questions.
Okay. In terms of the security feature, it really depends from asset to asset, because there's, like I said, there's a plethora of assets that could be shared. For different assets, there's a lot of different scenarios that we have to think of, that we have to protect each asset from. So, there's a lot of research that we're still putting into that particular aspect of things. That's why in our pilot, we are starting off with simple things like storage space, right? No fridges whatsoever, but just storage space and transportation. We're just starting off with these two. We want to see how this goes. But what I explained to you was the bigger picture, right? And to answer your second question, how exactly my team is going to go about doing this, is that we, luckily, since we're based in Singapore, we do have the support of the government.
Got it.
Right. We do have the support of the government. We do have a few government-related organizations that are interested in partnering with us, that are interested in funding us.
So you have a starting point.
We have the support of the government with us, and what they basically need is a proof of concept. So we are planning to, if you're familiar with Little India.
Sure, of course.
Right. So there's this, for those who are unaware, there's this small district in Singapore which is called Little India. So it's just a lot of Indian restaurants, businesses, right? It's this small India over there, right? So we are actually planning to start our pilot in Little India itself to see how exactly that particular community can benefit. And from there on, the government would be supporting us a bit more once we do get a bit more funding. So currently, the whole team that we have here, we're all students. We're all university students. We don't have any real life working experience, but that again is our strength, because, we are fully committed to this, right? We have the drive, we have the energy, and our cost is minimum. Because of the fact that we don't have any professionals. The initial stage of developing our MVP.
That's an interesting angle. That's an interesting angle, right?
Right. So our operational costs are close to a minimum. No one's really getting paid anything, but the work is still getting done.
All right. Okay. So that's the beauty of it. You have a lot of university people that are doing this for the first time. So there's a kind of a plus and a minus, right? In terms of, cost versus experience, right? And that's something that you can balance out. So you're starting off with transportation and storage. You got a couple of the components mapped out, and there's a couple of questions, Pranav, in the chat. Again, Michael is on fire today. With some great questions here, right? I think, there's a question around revenue model, and a question around how is it different with regards to things like fractional ownership, for instance. Okay, so great questions there. What we're going to do, Pranav, is I'm going to attempt to pitch your idea back. Okay. Right. And I want to make sure that we get these components in place. And when we think about, you talked about storage and transportation. So there's a specific type of companies that you're starting off with, right, Pranav?
Yep.
Right. There's a group, and you're getting it done in India, in Little India, to get it going. Okay. When I think about this, before I begin, how big is this market? That was another question. How big is this market, Pranav? When I think about what you're trying to do, like, it just kind of, when I think about like equipment and space and even people, right? How big is this market? Have you been able to look at that?
Yeah. So the serviceable obtainable market that we have in Singapore, especially when you include manpower inside as a shareable asset, it really boosts the figures up. So we estimate about 196,000 companies, right, that can be part of our ecosystem within Singapore itself, just Singapore.
Sure. And so, when I think about this, just before I pitch, when I think about what you're doing, right, Pranav, I'm thinking about what your business actually is. And if I look at this, what you're saying is that, you talked about running a business is hard, but what you're actually doing is saying, if you want to launch a new product line or a business, okay, you start with you. Does that make sense? So before I drop the money, like, obviously, if I'm using the asset all the time, it makes sense for me to buy.
Right.
But before I do that, right, I can go through you, and you are kind of that low barrier opportunity to start a business or to introduce a new product line or expand your business. Is that correct? Right?
Sure.
And in a market like Singapore, where manpower is expensive, space is expensive, equipment is expensive, durian is expensive, everything is expensive, right? This is something that can really help in terms of helping expand businesses. And that's why I'm assuming why the government is interested in what you're doing, right, Pranav? Is that correct?
Yep. Yep.
Like, why would a government care about what you're doing, right?
Exactly.
Especially the Singapore government, because they're very smart people, right? So that's the question, right, Pranav? Right?
Yep.
So I would do that. I wouldn't, personally, I wouldn't emphasize the fact that you guys have no work experience. Just personally, I would just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always good to, I think it's just, you guys are young, smart people that are trying to evolve. But I think, it's always good to, in this space, it might be good to have a little bit of experience. But allow me to pitch your idea now, because I think I understand why you exist and why you should exist and why the government and all these components are connecting. Okay. Right. And are you looking to raise money? What do you need, by the way, Pranav? What do you need?
Right. So in terms of, because of the fact that we are still all just students, I want to bring in a team of professionals, right? Experienced professionals who can help to actually grow this company. And then once we do expand across Singapore, we want to expand into other countries like the ASEAN countries and then Southeast Asia. And eventually we do have a partnership with the first B2B asset sharing company in the world, which is Flow2. They are based in Europe. Awesome. So we do have a potential partnership with them as well. So we do have a bigger plan, the moonshot of actually going international. Yeah. Great.
Let's do this. So right now you're looking for strategic advisors and people to help kind of build the business, correct? Right. All right. Excellent. So let's do this, Pranav. You introduce yourself and I will pitch BuyLeft to you. All right. Over to you, Pranav. Go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, Ash. I'm Pranav. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Pranav. My name is 𝙟𝙤𝙚𝙚𝙣 and I'm part of the BuyLeft team. Pranav, I know that you're a successful business person here in Singapore, and you know how expensive it is to hire people, how expensive it is for equipment, and how expensive it is for space in this country. And as we think about where the world is going, there's so many new SMEs that are coming up, right? And SMEs are what powers pretty much every economy. And what we decided to do was to create the BuyLeft platform that allows anyone that's looking to either build a new business or introduce a new product line to leverage our 360-degree system to allow them to share human capital, equipment, and space from other companies that are willing to loan it out. And what that means is that if you're looking to launch something, you can launch it 5 times faster at maybe 1/3 the price to see if you have some product market fit and see if you have an opportunity. The biggest barrier to launching a business is obviously capital, and we're lowering that price to 1/3 so business can start, businesses can thrive, and we want to power the next generation of SMEs in Singapore. We're partnering up with the Singapore government, who's already given us a grant to do a paid pilot in Little India. We'd love you to be a part of it because we're looking for some gray hair on our team, because we're all a bunch of young guys, to help our process and make sure that we make the right choices and decisions as we try to expand this and succeed in Singapore and hopefully throughout the region. We'd love to walk you through our platform over a kopi in Singapore, right? Thank you very much.
That was awesome.
Is that okay, Pranav? Does that make sense?
That was awesome. Yep. Spot on.
Because that's what you're doing, right? I'm trying to connect the dots with everything that you're talking about and why you exist. Okay.
Right.
the idea of also leveraging the contact base that you have, I would have brought that in and said, hey, I already have a list of people, and we have a list of people that are looking to come in. So my dance floor is going to be working. Supply demand is going to start. And that's kind of how I would structure it. You know what I mean? So
right.
I stuttered a bit when I was like, do I say white hair or gray hair or silver hair? I was like, how do you describe old people? You know, I have gray hair now as well. So I was like, what do I say that's politically correct? So, but love what you're working on, Pranav. Congratulations. Always great to see young guys. You know, I built my first startup when I was in my early 20s and had the joy of building it and actually selling the business in Singapore when I was around 22, 23 years of age. So it's always great to see, youngsters like yourself with that same level of energy. So thanks again. And thank you for staying up late. I know it's
no worries. Actually, it's this whole thing came in the right timing because next Monday, yes. We got shortlisted for the Singapore Green Tech Challenge that's being organized by Microsoft.
Wow.
Right? So we got shortlisted into the finals. So your pitch, I'm going to try it out.
No problem.
I'm going to probably expand it into a 5-minute pitch.
We are here to help you. And Michael is suggesting it could be white hair, gray hair, or no hair. Okay, no hair. But what we want to be able to do, Pranav, and everyone else, we're just here to help. So the feedback in the chat, the sound bites, the words, anything that we do, we just want you guys to hear it from a different perspective. And hopefully there's some element that's going to level your elevator pitch 5, 10, 20. Sometimes people just copy word for word what I do, and that's totally okay. But we're just here to help, right? So thank you very much, Pranav, and good luck on your Monday pitch session.
Yep. Thank you so much, Ash. I'll see you in Singapore sometime.
Indeed. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.